Welcome back to another episode on the Landscaping Podcast, powered by Landscaping Unlimited. We are your hosts, Zac and Shay, as always. And before we dive into this episode, we want to take a moment to thank everybody who has shown appreciation for the work we've done. Everyone who has liked and shared, subscribed, given us words of encouragement. It's been awesome on this journey. And when I came on board with Landscaping Unlimited, one of the things that Shay had said is like, we're all in. Like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I think you've seen that. I think you've seen it through the podcast that we started, the YouTube channel, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook page that's really been bumping. You know, a lot of the stories that we've been telling with YouTube, I mean, showcasing not just the things that we're building, but who the men are that are building these things. So you're seeing behind the scenes, you're seeing the finished products, you're seeing it all come together. And we're enjoying that immensely because we get to share our story. Like, we love what we do. And so, like, anybody who has a passion for anything, you know, we're proud of it. Like, we're proud to bring this to you. And in this special episode, where we've got our special announcement to make, we get to take what it is that we're proud of, and we get to share it with even more people. And so before we jump onto the announcement, and yes, I'm kind of stringing you along here, Shay, when you thought of what it was going to look like, having me come on with the vision that you had for the digital side of landscaping, what were you thinking compared to what you've got now? And is it beyond? Is it just measuring up? What are your thoughts on all this?
So I really had no idea what it was going to look like. I think that is true as a statement as you can get, because we sat down at Frank's Pizza, shout out to them, Washington, North Carolina, great food. But we sat down there, we talked about you coming back on, and I think you asked me, you know, like, what's my title?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Still don't know.
bro, I don't know, like, just make one up, because I don't really know. I've never done this. I don't know of a landscape company that's doing exactly like we're doing with what we're doing. And so I really had no idea what we were gonna look like, how fast it was gonna grow, if it was gonna be slow. I just knew what I wanted to do, and that was, you know, bring awareness to the industry, a landscaping industry, that it's a profession, it's a career, it's not a fallback, and that it should be looked at, you know, just like all the other trades, as well as highlight all of the cool things that landscaping brings. I mean, you know, our projects that we do are so diversified and unique. And so when the guys complete a job and it's one of a kind, it's like, hey, let's showcase this so that everybody knows what we're capable of, as well as what they can get in their lawn. I really had no idea. I know I wanted to push Landscaping Unlimited and our goals as far as expanding our goals as far as our outreach and what we could touch. But I think the main thing is I love this industry. My father loved this industry, and so I wanted to spread that. I wanted to awareness of landscaping as a trade out there in the world, as a profession.
You know, I know you've been stopped a few times by people who've seen it, or they made comments like, hey, I saw the video, or I heard the podcast, and you said that there have been a few who surprised you because maybe their profession has nothing to do with what the work that we do, and they're not looking to get any landscaping done, and yet they're listening to all of our landscaping discussions.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I didn't know you guys did this, or I didn't know you felt that way, and that's a great topic that you guys brought up or brought awareness to. And I think just seeing that and continue to have those conversations, it's showing the reach, it's showing that people are on board. And the part that you didn't bring up, but I know is immensely intertwined with everything that we do, is the community.
Yeah.
You know, all the people around us. You know, we try to highlight all that. We recently did with the Bath Parade. You know, that was really cool. We're constantly talking about looking for ways to give back and just engage with those who need things. The Beaufort County, our Belhaven After School program, we're having conversations with them. So I'm looking forward to continue those conversations. But just today, we went to Northeast, and we were speaking with the young men of their Mighty Young Men program. So shout out to Northeast for having that resource for those boys. But it's awesome to be able to be in a position where leaders in a company can go out into the world and engage with the people that they're creating around and with. We provide a service to this community. And so just being in the spot where we can kind of show who we are, that's providing that service, I love it. Like, I'm a storyteller at heart. I enjoy it through photography, videography, and writing. That's just how my brain is wired. And being able to tell the story of a craft and a trade that I very much appreciate, it's been cool to see. And I do think it's bringing more awareness to the professionalism of landscaping.
Yeah, for sure. You know, community outreach programs, all that stuff. It's kind of the core values of how this business was built and how I was brought up in it. So, you know, today you had me assist you in the Mighty Young Men program at Northeast, and it really just opened my eyes into how great that is, and how I would give up a lot of time, to dedicate back to that program. But it's crazy. We're a landscaping podcast, but we're talking about community outreach and all these things that we do or that we want to do, and it's ultimately, so building landscapes is something that I love, because you're building something people are going to make memories in. They're going to have their kids out there. They're going to have their friends and their guests over, in your backyard, or on your patio, or around your pool, or whatever you have in your backyard, in your landscape. And so that's where you're building your memories. That's where you're expressing the values that you grew up having, to those that you love, that join you in your leisurely time. And so landscaping brings all that together. There's nothing more exciting than sitting in a rocking chair, as we're doing right now, and talking about an industry which reverts all the way back to the community, which then reverts back to conversations with the people, and just good core values of what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and putting all that into the industry.
You had mentioned how one of the things that I go through is looking at like where we're at and where we want to go. And I'm someone who I'm immensely proud, but I'm never satisfied. And so it's like, cool, if we hit a milestone, let's say we hit 1,400 followers on our Facebook page, which we did. My immediate thought was, all right, so 15. It's like, that's cool. Like, I'm not satisfied. Let's keep on growing and keep going in that direction. And there's no other company for me to look at to base this upon. I don't have another landscaping company I can look at and be like, well, I'm going to do a podcast like theirs and run videos like theirs and run my socials like theirs, because a lot of companies have a good TikTok or they have a podcast, and that's what they do now. But very few have everything. I wouldn't say very few, none. I have not found any yet who are putting all that together to where they're running a podcast, providing their videos on YouTube, and they're going on their socials, interacting and engaging with their community and showcasing what they're doing, while also building up the people that are in the community, while also talking about the men who are doing all the projects, so you get to know all the employees, while also taking that and that business and going to partner with other companies and showcasing, highlighting those companies. There's not anybody else doing this except us.
Yeah, and it's not, I hate to cut you off, but it's not to say that we don't get it wrong on the way, because we do, and you're gonna see it. You're gonna see us get it wrong, but you're also gonna see us fix it and get it right, because ultimately, like with any business, you grow, you have growing pains, you have things that you didn't see come up that you're dealing with, and so you deal with those. Just in the past probably 3 months, I can think of the way we're shifting the business and how it operates almost weekly, in a way of, this is the way things need to run to continue the growth rate that we're getting. And I think it's a good thing to have. It's a good conversations that we have on this podcast, good conversations we have, sidebarred and in the office, and I enjoy it. It's almost like an adrenaline rush. And I'm excited to share that with everybody.
I want to ask him, do you remember Ask Me Anything Fridays or Wednesdays with Shay? Remember, we test things. A lot of this has been tried and tested in front of people, and I realized we were getting a lot better feedback when we go deeper into subjects. And so those quick, short videos, that's not what people were responding to.
Yep.
And so we pivoted. And so it's not a failure. It's a lesson learned.
Yeah, and it also goes to Jesse Cole. Me and you sat in on a presentation he gave. Savannah Bananas, Jesse Cole, man in the yellow suit. He talked about he started off with certain things, then he realized wow, we grew so fast that is no longer sustainable for us to do, and we're hitting that. The frequently asked questions Friday, the open mics with Shay on Wednesday, the meet the team Tuesday. It was man, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We don't have time to keep doing that. So we evolved and we went more in depth and all that stuff. And then also you see feedback like you talked about, and so you gear towards what's giving you the most profits, the most exposure, and what's most beneficial for the company to run smoothly. So that's where we're at.
Let's now bring that to our announcement, because we should address that at some point.
Yeah. Breaking news. It is time for the announcement.
One that we're very excited to share. We were contacted from JJ from WITN.
Yep.
So shout out to JJ. In the conversation, he said, hey man, I saw your social media. I dig what you guys are doing. I have a question for you. Are you interested in running an ad on the Super Bowl? Because WITN has access to the Super Bowl in 2026. Shay, what was your answer?
At first I was like, no, this can't be the Super Bowl ad. So I was very much like, well, how much are you asking me to spend and give to you, and all that good stuff. And then JJ's super cool, by the way. low pressure salesman, but he is a salesman, but very low pressure. And he set up times. We went and talked with him because I was like, you know what, let's just explore this thing. So we met with JJ. He went over all the options, and that's right. We decided we're gonna join in. So we'll be posting an ad on the Super Bowl as well as the Olympics.
Dun dun dun.
So that'll be cool for 2026 in February, and we're excited for that. I'm excited for those ads to showcase who we are as a company and to spread our love for landscaping out there so that we can hopefully show everybody that this industry is more than a fallback, and it is just as much of a career as any other trade or industry out there today. As much as, it's needed as much as a lawyer, or needed as much as, a surgeon or a janitor or anything. I mean, it's a career. And you make a living off of it, and there are sets of standards that we follow. There's licensing required, and it's important. So I'm excited to see that spread.
Dude, I'm pumped. So we've got a 6-second slot on the Super Bowl when that will run. And so if you're watching the Super Bowl from WITN, you're going to see the Landscaping Podcast and an ad going through there that we're running. And then we've got a 30-second slot for the Olympics. And we're going to come up with something pretty cool to share our story and what it is we're doing. And now people would ask the question, I've already been asked the question, why the Landscaping Podcast and not Landscaping Unlimited by itself without the podcast? What was your specific choice of the podcast?
Landscaping Unlimited as the company where we perform the work. I feel like we best serve our community the way we do now. We get all of our work through word of mouth and just kind of the feeds on our socials. And we're backed up pretty good with that. And so that company is running well. However, the podcast is something that I think highlights what we do. And so I want the podcast to grow so that over time people will see, they'll see Landscaping Unlimited through the podcast. So the Landscaping Unlimited will grow as well through the podcast. And I think there's other reasons as well for the podcast because, we talk about sponsorships and other avenues where other people can join us, other hosts can join us. And so having this ad in a big event like the Super Bowl or the Olympics, I think that's something that someone else will find interesting as well, and they'll want to jump on and be that part. That's kind of why we're leaning towards the podcast for this advertisement this year.
I like that. So that's pretty much how I've answered as well. It's like, listen, Landscaping Unlimited, the business, is confined to physical proximity of where we can drive our trucks to and things we can do, whereas the podcast, it can be global. There's no limit to how far this can go. And so putting it out there for more, we can reach those because they can actually hear the discussions and learn about who we are and those who are local to us. I mean, if you're in Dubai and you want to fly us out, like the invoice is going to be, it'll be worth it.
We're coming.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll go, but you're going to get that invoice. So there's no limit to where the possibilities of where we will go are unlimited. Hopefully your bank account is too, because we got a lot of trucks to move. We're going to have to go a big distance. But more jokes aside, the messages that we're putting out here, the conversations we're having, we want that to be heard by more. Yep. We want people to take kind of our view of serving people and making it about your community and treating people first instead of just the bottom line. And don't get me wrong, you have to have a healthy bottom line because how are you going to fill a cup if yours is empty? Yep. But if you can do both, and when you do both, you find immense satisfaction because the bottom line grows because people want to support people as well, and you can finally see us. You'll know who your landscaping is. People will come out and they'll say, hey, I know you're a dad. You're a family man, you're going through this, here's a challenge that you've had, you've spoken about it. People are watching our story and in a way they're getting to know us that they, in a way otherwise they never would have.
Yeah.
When you hear the Hardscape team talking, when you hear you talking, myself talking about what we're going through, what we're doing, we recently had the one on fatherhood and being present dads and being more present for our children. Yep. Dude, I just responded to, when I asked you who that person was, it was on that post. Because we were talking about that and people are just resonating with that side of it. And how often do you see a landscaper talking about, trying to balance their passion for their job along with the love they have for their child? Like that's a pretty heavy conversation. Normally it's just like, what type of grass is this?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so we're going deeper, and I think being able to bring that, especially in the Super Bowl, and that's my next question for you, but I never thought I would be putting media together for a Super Bowl. Did you ever think that Landscaping Unlimited was going to be in a Super Bowl ad?
No, I mean, just as much as I never thought we'd have a podcast, I think I had that thought for about a split of a second. I was like, never happened, and then we're here. And I think that's also goes to a testimony of never put a cap on where you think you can go, because then you've just limited yourself. Yeah. And now that we've kind of removed that cap, we really have soared to where we're going and where we're projecting to be by the end of 2026. And 2027. I mean, we're at the end of 25, so 27 is not that far. As you get older, a year goes by, so I'm looking in my head where 27 looks like,
Yep.
where I think we'll be in 28, and that seems far away, but it's not, and I don't think it's unreasonable to look that far.
I think what's extremely cool about this is how much we speak about sports. I mean, we speak about it
all the time.
every single day. There is a reference. There is some sort of discussion around teams,
Yep.
sports. Just today, again, back at Northeast during Mighty Young Men, we were talking about you need to trust your teammates. You got to trust them. When the quarterback throws the ball, it's not where the receiver is; it's where he's going.
Yep.
He's got to trust the receiver to go the right way, and that's how you make great plays. And so we speak about that so much, and here we are. I would say the Super Bowl is one of the most viewed sporting events in America, for sure. I think soccer has beaten a few other countries, but in America, I think this is our most viewed sport. And the Olympics, which is the apex performance from across the globe in the thing that they do.
Yep.
And here we are putting our message with that, because that is exactly what we're trying to do. We trust our teammates. We have to work together. We've got to go out there. It's about the people, and it's about going out and doing your absolute best. And one of my personal phrases that I kind of repeat to myself is just set the standard. And the bigger quote there is set the standard for which excellence is measured. Shout out to Brett Ressler for putting that into my life, because I took that and I hung on to that, and it served me extremely well my whole life. And these athletes are chasing that standard of perfection. They've got to go out and be perfect in whatever it is they're going to do. And our ad's going to be run along that type of mindset, and that's exactly what I want associated with our brand and this podcast and what it's doing. I want people who want to be their best.
Yep. And just to full disclosure and go deep into the weeds of landscaping.
Got a landscape for that.
To go deep into it, core values, right? If you're a sports fanatic and you watch, we talk about sports with our guys all the time because they relate to it. It's a good way to make an analogy, but they understand it because they all watch sports. And so it's core values. No one made it to the big leagues. No one made it to the NFL without, leadership, determination, self-discipline, accountability. They went through all these character traits that were core values to them that made them who they are and allowed them to succeed to the level that they're at, which then brings it back to why we're doing it. Why we're going to put this ad out there is because it's the core values in which this company was founded on, which we're trying to lead through our men, we're trying to lead back into our families. And so as long as we stay true to that, then I think that message goes. And 6-second ad doesn't seem very long. However, me and you have chit-chatted back and forth about how that'll look. And I think the message that we're kind of settled on for the Super Bowl will come across as the core values and how they're made in the landscape. So that also brings the landscape back into it. Yeah.
So looking at that, one of the things that really stands out to me is when people look at cheating, you can't cheat your way in the Olympics. You have to put in the work.
Yep.
It's all honest work. Guess what? So is landscaping. You can't cheat your way. I'm pointing over here. So we're at the country club right now. We've got this really cool project that we're working on, and it's right over there. So if I keep looking over there, that's why. But you can't cheat your way through that. If you want a good product, you need a good foundation. If you try to skip out on the foundation, just put the bricks over it, well, they're going to crumble. They're going to be uneven. It's not going to work out for you. And so the same thing goes with sports. You can't cheat your way to the Olympic Games. It's just not going to work for you because you're going to get smoked by the people who did the work.
Yep.
And so when you're looking at, you have to have integrity. You got to be honest with it. You got to be true to it. I mean, the fact that I just said we're coming at you on this podcast from the country club, we are making these hours up. We are at work, but we want to dedicate the time and give the proper attention to the podcast. And so we're here on the job getting this recorded.
Yep.
And you had brought up the sponsors. Not only are the sponsors going to get exposure, through our podcast that are aired on Super Bowl, Olympics, just wherever it is that we're airing this, as our community continues to grow, we have stayed true the whole time to what it is we're doing. Our value is on the people and just giving a good service to our community. And so these companies who eventually become the sponsors of this podcast know who they're getting involved with because we've been transparent the whole time. They were here. We were making the videos for people to see our successes and our failures, our comebacks and our wins. We're doing that publicly, very, very publicly. I mean, somebody hit me up and they're like, dude, it was Joe. So another landscaper, he's like, hey man, you got to stop recording things. He's like, because I'm seeing you all over my timeline. And I was like, brother, I'm going inside to edit the podcast right now. And so I shook his hand and I went in. But it's funny that people we're just, every day we're putting out here's who we are, here's what we're doing, here's what we stand for. And I had been asked before, well, are you going to run out of content? this job doesn't let you run out of content.
Yeah.
There's always something new going on. There's always something happening. That's the beauty of landscaping. And Landon had asked me a few questions in another episode, and he's like, well, what's a typical day look like? And I laughed at him, because there's no typical day here.
No.
You know, like,
It's
yeah,
the
a
unknown.
week ago, something else. A week before that, something else. Just yesterday, we were doing something else. And so here we are doing something different again, but getting it recorded on the podcast for you to see, and that's not going to change ever.
So, like, if you're a prospective sponsor listening to this podcast and you're going, how do I get on to the podcast? Reach out to us. Shoot us an email. Look us up. Give us a call. Whatever. And we will be happy to sit down and talk with you about what that might look like. And I think we have some people we want to have on this podcast. And ultimately, your values have to match ours. We're not going to promote or look at a product or something that we wouldn't stand behind.
Yep.
So I think that speaks for itself as to what our integrity values are. We're also looking at promoting the stuff we use because we believe in it. It's why we use it. So if you're someone who works and has products in the green industry, I mean, it might be a product we don't know about. Reach out to us and share us about your product. Who knows? We may become your biggest customer. It might be something that changes our lives that we don't know about, and we want to use it. So we'll take all advice, all feedback, all prospective sponsors, all that good stuff. So,
You know, one of the things that I don't think people give enough credit to, and we were speaking about this a little bit earlier, is the weight of leadership.
Oh, it's heavy.
It's the responsibility. So if someone is a sponsor of our podcast, you have to live up to being worthy of that. You know, if a customer books you to do something, like if you're looking to be a leader in an industry, the weight of that, the pressure there, like honestly, doing this, like the podcast, the videos, doing all that, the pressure that comes with it is like you have to be on. You can't say you're the man and you're going to go do these things, you're going to do it right, and you're going to be open and honest. There's no days off from that.
Yeah.
You have, in everything you do, you've got to be the man. You've got to go and do it right the first time. You've got to own your mistakes. You know, you've got to be transparent enough. Like, we're not going to, here's my social security number, my credit card number. Like, we're not sharing that.
No.
You know, like, but we're sharing quite a bit of ourselves in a specific reason of letting you know, like, who it is that's behind it. But that also puts the pressure and the onus on us to make sure we deliver.
Yep.
Make sure we're having the hard conversations with ourselves. And we're always going back and forth. Like we're not like pumping anything, right? Like we're talking about what we're doing.
Yep. And who
you know, we're not inflating it. It is what it is. And when we see people like, hey, you know, that's awesome. I'm glad you were there. Like, or with Northeast today, hey, you know, it's so cool that you guys are going out and doing that. Like that took time from the business. But you said that you're going to be there for the community, so you have to go to these things. And you know, I was just thinking about that for both of us to be there, just the man hours and the time. Like that's time away from the business.
Yeah. I mean,
so if you were to track it like with monetarily,
yeah.
You missed like four phone calls?
Yeah, like you heard I mean, we were 45 minutes to an hour, and you know, my phone call's vibrating on the table, but it's, you know, right now my attention is to who's in front of me, because these young men ultimately are going to shape the future of the landscapes that they walk, or the paths that they're creating for themselves. So if I'm preaching to be attentive, to be accountable, to be a good leader, and I'm in front of them going, hold on, your time's not important to me right now, let me go take this phone call, then I'm not teaching them, you know, accountability for what they're committed to. So this morning, as I committed with you to do that, it was all right, off the clock at the moment. Our team knows what they're doing. I'll catch back up with them when this meeting's over. And I think that's important to understand that with anything you do, particularly with us with this podcast, everything we say we're going to do, you know, as far as like how we're going to live or how we operate, we have to stay true to that.
Yeah.
You know, we're holding ourselves accountable because now it's out there on the digital platform. You cannot erase it. We cannot erase what someone's already seen. I cannot take that away. This isn't Men in Black. I don't have the little flasher thing where I take your memory. So I honestly like it. At first, I was kind of scared of it. I was like, man, I said this. I better make sure I do that. But now I look back at it, I'm like, nah, this is going to make me a better person, because as I say I'm going to do this, it's like, all right, you're going to do it now, because you have to. Like, you have to be the person that you said you're going to be, because if not, you're a fraud, you're a liar, and you're ultimately a podcast that has no merit, which who would back that?
Yeah.
I think there's podcasts out there that are like that.
There are.
That people preach the gospel or preach what they're going to do, and if you were to spend time with them, they would be the exact opposite.
Yeah, you open the closet, you open behind the curtain, and you know there's not the Wizard of Oz putting himself. It's just somebody who's portraying themselves more than what they are.
Yeah.
And that is, again, back to the pressure that puts on you. I also think there's an ease to this, and I'm glad you said that you're enjoying it, because I like this.
Yeah.
You know, people ask, like, well, how do you see photography, and then all the stuff that you're doing with Landscaping Unlimited, and then being a present father, and that's just too much. I'm like, dude, this is what like apex performance looks like. This is what happens like when you go out and you dedicate yourself, and I don't get tired from this. I enjoy it. I think there are many, many more men and women, you know, who could do so much more, but because they've told themselves like, oh, it feels like it's going to be so much heavier, then it becomes heavier. But if you're like, I'm just going to do this, like I don't give myself any other option, that it actually became fuel.
Yeah.
All the things I have going motivate me. Like I'm excited to do them. And so it's like, to respond to the person who's saying, well, it's too much, I'm like, I'm never satisfied. Like I kind of want more. And it's just because I'm going to keep on going. And there comes a pressure with that. Like I said, I've got to find a way to tell our story in 6 seconds. And I'm thinking about that nonstop, like constantly. I'm like, I want to perfectly deliver this when there's so many different options because we do so many things. And so it's like, cool, I got to pick one and go with it. I love that. It's kind of like, it's pushing on me. You know, my son, today's the last day of public education. And so he is going to be homeschooling. And so we've got 2 children homeschooled. And my wife, she's moving with her business. We're actually, I got to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So
to
she's
hear
making
that.
moves with her business. And so there's so much happening that from the outside looking in, you might think like, oh, they're scattered, they're a mess, they're running around. No, dude, we chill, we sit, we talk, we have great meetings. With everything we have going, we sit, we talk, we have great meetings on what's going on. We map it out, and then we both execute. And so when you're doing the presentation today, then you're running over with the team, and then you got all your meetings with the guys, like, brother, that's what we do. Like, that's what has to be done to get it done. And we're going to keep on working on ways to improve it. And when we do, we share that. Hey, you were talking about work and taking more time at home. Yeah. You're like, these are lessons we're learning live. You're seeing us do this. You guys have seen the videos, and I've changed some things. The podcast, we've changed some things. We're always improving and polishing because we're learning as we go. But again, I don't think that, I think if more people put a little bit more pressure on themselves, they would actually find their life more enjoyable. And I'm not sure if it's because of the pressure itself or if it's because they have a mission and like they wake up with purpose instead of like, I wonder what I'm doing. Like I wake up excited. I'm not saying this because you're my boss. I wake up
trying to get a raise.
Yeah, I'm getting paid for this later. I have to get paid for this right now. But I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I got to go to work. I wake up and I'm like, hell yeah. Like, what are we doing today? Yeah. And like today especially, I was like, dude, like when I was talking to you last night, I was like, I wonder if and I told Jack, he's like, I'm asking Shay if he'll come with me tomorrow. Yeah. And I was like super pumped and you said, yeah, because I'm like, then you saw it. You saw why I love it so much. Like it's such a cool thing. And it was like a gift I was able to show you. And I thought that was really neat. But like, I'm excited for what we do because I enjoy the job. And if your job, you're waking up miserable, or if your life, like something's got to change if you're not motivated to go out and do a lot of things. Because I'm 38 years old and it's not like, oh, you got to slow down because you're getting, dude, I'm slowing down. Like, but it's not because of any reason inside my head. Like age is inevitable. You know, like you're going to age, but like your youthful love for life, that should never diminish. Yeah. And I still have that childlike light inside of me as to what I'm doing every day.
Yep. I mean, ultimately looking back at it, you know, listen to you say that, like every day, like, you know, you wake up, you're ready to go, you want to do, you know, you're excited. Being good is the same way. And so like this morning, the Mighty Young Men, the other organization that we're hoping to collaborate with, you know, in the future and consolidate or however that might look, it's just waking up and doing what's right. You know, it is no effort to be a good person.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's the quote right there.
It is no effort to do that. And so if you find yourself always stressed or always in a bad mood, well, maybe reconsider what it is you're doing and just relax a little bit and then talk to somebody, because being a good person is easy. You just be nice.
It's like telling the truth. It's a lot harder to lie because you have to remember all the things you lied about. If you just tell the truth, you're like, it just is what it is.
Yep.
Here are the details. I don't have to remember anything except like, here's what happened or here's what I said or did or whatever. So it's way more difficult to actually, that's a really good point. I'm going to think on that further because it is way more difficult to live a bad, I'm going to say bad, but like a life that's not aligned with your values.
Yeah.
Like that's way more difficult. Or like if you go to a job you hate, like then it's not aligned with something in you. Like something about it is maybe it's taking time from kids. Maybe it's you're a part of something that you're not aligned with what you're producing. You know, like if you're out there like, I'm not going to go into the list. Let me say this. I'll speak for both of us, but because I know we agree on this, We would never take a sponsor, even if they were like, we're going to be your top sponsor, we're going to give you $10,000 a year, but their product we knew was toxic or bad for kids or families, or just it didn't align with our values. We would not take their money because our integrity is worth more. And so that's why it's so easy. Because this aligns with me? Yes. It does not align with me? No. But what about, no, there's no buts. There's no dollar amount. There's no perk that you can provide. Nothing. It doesn't align with my soul. No.
Yep. Speaking of which, and I hope this company contacts us. We just took about a $3,000 hit on a job due to a failed product, and I'm looking forward to voicing over that video time lapse that you took. But I mean, we took that hit at our expense because we sold a product to the customer and it didn't perform. We had to go back out there and remove the product, apply another product, and all that was labor. I mean, the product was the cheap part. The labor to pull it all out, put it all back in, that's the part that took the time and the cost of money, but we did it because it's right.
Yep.
It's not the customer's fault. It's not our fault. But at the end of the day, he paid for a job that was supposed to be completed, and it should have been completed when we left the first time. We shouldn't have had a callback. And if we had that callback, it was all right, well, we've got to make it right because we can't just pass the blame. I mean, we can certainly explain why it failed and why, what we're trying to do to get it alleviated. At the end of the day, it's hopefully we'll get some money back. But if not, well, we just have to do it what's right because it's what's right.
And that's the simple part.
Yeah.
You know what's awesome is people things fail, things break, stuff goes wrong sometimes. But when you're honest and open about it, like the pushback of it or the reception of it isn't that bad. This customer specifically, he's like, hey man, he was arguing with you to pay.
Yeah, twice now he's shot me a message since the guys have went back and finalized it again. Hey, this stuff is rock solid. So like, I didn't share that with you,
Nice.
but he is
completely
satisfied with the product. And then he's like, hey, let me know what I owe you. Because like while we were there, we also fixed a few other things that weren't part of our project, but it was, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and fix it. And he's like, hey, let me know what it'll cost for that portion. And it's like, man, no. Like, we already had to fix it. Just give us a good review.
I bet you his response or his reception of that would have been much worse if you were like, oh, it's not my fault. You got to find out whatever to pick. Like, you're like, no, we got it. We'll fix it. And so he's like, oh, of course, dude. When you're good to people and you're true to people, they're good to you. It's like leadership. When you take care of your people, they take care of you. Yeah. And so same thing with your customers. It's about people. Again, I'll go back to the big quote, which is 1, go to episode 2. Fantastic episode. 2, life is about being a shipbuilder. Build your friendships, build your relationships, build your partnerships. If you do that, you will win. Because at the end of the day, we are all here together figuring this thing of life out. The best thing you can do is just be open and connect with others. Like, connect with others. Let them see who you really are without the mask that you put on for like going out or who you want people to think you are. Show them who you are, and if you're wanting to be better, then be better and work on being better. I have features, I have flaws. I'm very open about them, and when people point them out, I try to get better at it. I try to get better at like not spacing out when people talk to me. Because like people are like, hey, you're not listening. And I'm like, I am listening, but I realize like my habit of just going into my head and kind of processing and filing what they're saying to me so I can have a good response looks like I'm not paying attention, and I don't ever want that to come across because perception's reality. And so there are many YouTube videos I'm like, I'm just spacing out right there. I am listening, I'm in the conversation, and my response 3 seconds later is spot on. But in that window, I'm just like looking at clouds or something.
Yeah, I'm doing it in this video. You're talking, and I'm looking at this well light in this patio that's shining up in this gazebo. And every time I'm not talking, I'm looking right at it to the camera.
I've been looking at this column and looking at the rocks and the edge, and I'm like, man, that's pretty lined up really well. Apparently, it is what it is.
I'm gonna close on this note. We just referenced episode 2 again, and I talked about how it costs nothing to be good. Episode 2 talked about our faith. We talked about our Lord, our Savior. And I think the phrase, it costs nothing to be good, is explained in Jesus's walking of the earth. He made no money being good. He didn't make any money going out and talking about how to live a good life. He did that because it was right. And I think that's the best example we can have of it costs nothing to be good and to spread a good word and to a good message and to provide a good product with your company, to provide good leadership for your team, and to provide clarity and openness, to everyone you're around so that everyone sees what it is that you're doing.
The Bible app is free. If you want a free guide, if you're trying to figure out how to be good, it's free.
Yep.
Get it. Read through it. Just scan it. Just pick a random, just start. You're going to find everything in it has great information. Everything is great and aligned with how you can live a good life. Just read it and apply it. It's free. Hey, you said that earlier. You said Jesus worked for free.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, what a point.
Yep.
There was so many ways to go with that. I was so impressed. I like quips like that. That was a good one.
Yeah, I liked it too.
All right, for those who tuned in, I can't wait for you guys to see our Super Bowl ad. I can't wait for you to see our Olympic ads. I can't wait for you to just continue to see what it is we're doing. And the fact that you're seeing it and then you guys are giving the feedback to us, that is appreciated more than I can even say. You know, like obviously we're doing this, we want people to hear it, but like this is who we are. We're just like letting you into our conversation. We're doing this regardless. But it's pretty cool to have this division. I call it the digital landscaping division of the company now.
Yeah.
And it is
Exactly
going out
that.
there. Yeah. And so like I really dig the feedback we've gotten. So thank you. And we're gonna continue to serve the community as best we can and just continue to try to be our best selves for you, for ourselves, for our families, and then ultimately for this company to go out and just provide the best service that's really gonna be shaping the world through one project at a time of moving the earth. It's pretty cool.
Also, for the one sponsor that we do have that we'll never have to pay, shout out to Z Photography and Media for all their fantastic sports photos and cheerleading photos, portraits that they do, street photography that they provide all around Beaufort County and outside of the county when they're following Beaufort County teams to their events, homeschool teams, not just public schools. And so shout out to Z Photography and Media for all that they do. If you were looking for an awesome photographer, give them a shout.
Thanks.
You're welcome, brother.